In our discussion today, some of you might bring up specific tweets or examples, and I'll probably have an answer like, my team will follow up with you. I don't think that's useful. I'd rather us focus on principles and approaches to address these problems. We believe in free expression. We believe in free debate and conversation to find the truth. At the same time, we must balance that with our desire for our service not to be used to sow confusion, division, or destruction. This makes the freedom to moderate content critical to us.
We've been witness to Twitter censorship for more than a year, then gradually moving to silence people based on merely having an opinion that contradicts lockdown orthodoxy. Stanford public health expert Scott Atlas has been censored, and Naomi Wolf, visiting senior fellow at AIER, was put in Twitter jail for a week for landing on the wrong side of the high priests of allowable content. Well, a new line has been crossed. Harvard professor Martin Kulldorff and co-creator of the Great Barrington Declaration, one of the most cited epidemiologists and infectious disease experts in the world, has been censored by Twitter. His tweet was not taken down. He had a warning slapped on it, and users have been prevented from liking or retweeting the post. Keep in mind, too, that Dr. Kulldorff serves on the VAST subgroup that the CDC, NIH, and FDA rely upon for technical expertise on this very subject.
I'm going to pause here. I'm going to lose the script, and I'm going to reflect on the recurring feeling I have of impending doom. We have so much to look forward to, so much promise and potential of where we are, and so much reason for hope. But right now, I'm scared.
So here we have some geeks at Twitter curating science in areas totally outside the specialization of web nerds in a way that skews public understanding of the scientific debate. Dr. Kulldorff's censorship directly coincides with Anthony Fauci making a political push to retain social distancing and mask restrictions and force separation for children until they're vaccinated.
Parents are vaccinated, they still do need to be concerned about their unvaccinated children playing together in groups. Is that right?
Yeah, the children can clearly wind up getting infected. When we talk about what you can do when you're vaccinated, you can certainly have members of a family, if the adults are vaccinated, and you're in the home with your child, you don't need to wear a mask and you can have physical contact. When the children go out into the community, you want them to continue to wear masks when they're interacting with groups from multiple households.
He was all over Sunday TV shows doing that. This attempt to silence accredited experts completely distorts the process of scientific inquiry, discovery, and public opinion. And to what end? Twitter has generally been biased in a lockdown direction. If you want to be cynical about it, you could observe that everyone who works there can get by on laptops and house shoes for the duration. Its stock price has more than doubled in the course of lockdowns, and user engagement has risen dramatically. It would appear that with this latest act of censorship, we're not talking about political extremism or anything else that violates normal terms of use. We have entered into a new realm. Twitter is now curating the scientific debate in ways that exclude alternative points of view, particularly those that raise doubts about the need for universalized vaccines and vaccine passports. To be sure, Dr. Kulldorff is not an anti-vaxxer, but instead has a nuanced position in light of his professional understanding of the demographics of risk of this virus.
What we're doing now is we are protecting low-risk college students and low-risk professionals like journalists and scientists like me, bankers, attorneys, etc., who can work from home, even though they have very low risk, while we are putting working-class older people who have high risk, they still have to work, driving a cab or working as a janitor, working in the supermarket or the post office or whatever. So they are exposed, and they are putting the burden to develop the immunity in the population that will eventually protect all of us.
If there ever was a troubling sign of the power and arrogance of big tech, of which I've long been a defender, This new action is it. Dr. Kulldorff has been a brave proponent of traditional public health in the midst of an unprecedented and very obviously failed policy of lockdowns.
So this is not how we've ever done anything like this. Like we've never, and we've talked to other doctors and they said, we've always, when we've had, whether it's the swine flu or whether it's a bad flu year, we've never shut things down. Doctor, why now? Why this hysteria, or why the shutdowns like this?
I don't know. As a public health scientist, I'm absolutely stunned. And I don't know. I think it's better to ask that question to a psychologist or sociologist or journalists or I don't know who. But I am absolutely stunned. And if you go and look at most countries, at least most Western countries, would have sort of a pandemic preparedness plan, because we knew there was going to come a pandemic sooner or later. We just didn't know when or what type, but we knew it was going to come, and they will come more after this. So all those pandemic preparedness plans were basically thrown out the window, and instead we do this lockdown experiment, So, no, I'm sorry, I can't answer your question. I don't know why.
No.
He has been a voice of clarity, reason, calm, and science. That Twitter would choose to use its power over public debate to silence his insights should be of profound concern to everyone concerned about the use of science in the public interest.
Well, if somebody is paranoid and they go around being worried about dying from cancer, or dying from cardiovascular disease, or dying from diabetes, or having a car accident, or dying from the annual flu, then yeah, maybe they want to add COVID-19 to this long list of things to be afraid of. And maybe they should also have do some counseling. But for the most of us, this is one more thing in the things that could happen to us, but it doesn't make sense to go around and be terrified about it. Instead, when we drive a car, we put on the seatbelts because that lowers the risks. It doesn't eliminate the risk, but it lowers the risk. So with COVID, we should wash our hands more carefully, and that lowers the risk, but it doesn't eliminate it. So we have to view COVID-19 as one of many things that can happen in life, but we shouldn't let it interrupt life, because that actually has much worse consequences, both in current time, but also long term. And those are equally important. So just like Jay says, we can't sort of be single focused on one particular disease.